Hello, 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 hello. Welcome once again, one and all, to Heresy Hammer. I am joined today by Rob, aka Meadows Miniatures. Hello,
Hello,
Rob.
hello, hello. This is an
Uh,
exciting episode today, isn't it?
it's
This is
it's
I'm
a
pretty
pretty
I'm
good
pretty
one,
pumped for
yeah.
this one.
We're well, before we get into it,
Oh,
let's
sorry.
give a shout out to all our wonderful sponsors. So if you're looking for any 3D printed parts, go check out Gator 3D Printing. Uh, give them a hit up and get all your juicy goodness. Fairly new one to us, Sacrus Mundus. They design um, terrain, and I think this is 28 mil and also Li, is it? Or am
Yeah,
I
but I
making
suppose
that up?
because you can print it, you can just shrink it down.
You can do whatever the fuck. You
Yeah,
could
you can
make
make it
it.
bigger.
You could make your actual house. Could 3D
A
print.
Tuscan pyramid, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if you'd get planning permission for that. Might not fit in with the community, but yeah, if you want to live in an actual Thousand Suns fucking pyramid, go check out Sacrus Mundus.
Guess you'd be fine. Planning permission would be fine in Egypt, I guess, but anywhere else would
Yeah,
be difficult.
yeah, maybe. Or they might just find it offensive. I don't know.
Who
I
knows?
don't know. And go check out Battle Bling store. They specialize mostly in kind of Adeptus Titanicus, but do all sorts of heresy related 3D printing bits. And if you use the code Heresy Hammer, all capitals at checkout, you get another 10% off. So go check them out. But what we are here for here, is episode 53. Episode 53. Fuck my life.
That's crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I should say we do swear a bit. So if you don't like swearing, get
Fuck
fucked.
off.
Yeah. I keep forgetting about that one. So what we are doing today is a Legion Terminators Highlander style battle to the death. This is a Royal Rumble of all the Legion Terminators, and there can only be one victor.
Queen is playing in the background. Now, for our younger listeners, you might not know what a
Yeah,
Highlander is, which was that it
no.
was a film with I've forgotten the actor, a French actor who basically had a
Oh
terrible
God
Scottish accent,
knows.
but basically they could live, they were immortal unless you chop their heads off, and then they
Yes.
would win. They
And
try
then you
and
take their powers, didn't
yes,
you?
that's right. Yeah, it took all their
Yes.
knowledge and
Yeah,
their
yeah,
powers, and there could be only one in the end.
yeah.
Yeah, exciting times.
And that's what's happening today.
Yep.
So this was suggested to us by one of our awesome patron subscribers, but they kind of wanted us to rank all the Legion Terminators. And we here at Heresy Hammer think ranking things is a little bit wanky, just because I don't know, it tends to be like a bit of a clickbait thing, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what is the best Legion Terminator
Yeah.
ever? So we went slightly different. So we've got 17 legions because obviously the word bearers are too fucking badass to have Terminators. 23 unique Legion Terminators because some legions have more than one elite Terminator or special Terminator. And this is a winner takes all knockout tournament. It's a random seeding, so they've all been thrown in together. Um, Only the rules for the squad are considered, not the sergeant. The Legion rules are considered, but not the benefits of rights of war or warlord traits.
We are definitely gonna talk about all those things though in this.
Yeah,
In this
but just think about that because yeah, a lot of these isn't necessarily how you would run them.
Mm.
Um, But which Legion Terminator wins the coveted title of now producer Kerry wrote Tactical Dreadnought Champion, but I wrote Legion Shit Kickers Champion because I feel like that's more pertinent. Because let's face it, these are the guys that just batter fuck into people, aren't they?
Yeah, I think
So
just before we get started, because we obviously just had our preamble talk before we came on air, and
yeah.
you look at this and go,
We're
oh, okay.
basically we're basically Rob went, no, it's just fucking bullshit. Oh
I
no,
was like,
actually, yeah, oh no,
I
that
was
probably
like,
does
oh,
make
I'm not sure because we had kind of gone through this like weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and then I was like, oh, I'm not sure whether this is right now. I'm not sure. So I think two things. The first thing is that it does depend on the random seeding. So who you play off against, it might be like the absolute counter.
Yeah,
to that
yeah,
particular unit. So they might have been knocked out just because Brazil is playing England in the first like knockout, and then they've just
yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I think it does depend on who they matched up against. The second thing is that really this is a basis for a conversation, and I have no doubt that we will have people who use these particular who users of Conticar telling us that they are the
Fuck
best,
you.
the best of all Terminators, and that is fine. It's okay for us to have different opinions. It's a bit of fun at the end of the day, but the most important thing
Yeah.
is who wins Legion Shit Kickers champion.
So, before starting, a few common features. All Terminators have a 2 plus armor save. All Terminators are Strength 4, Toughness 4, and Initiative 4.
Hmm.
All in Cataphracti are Movement 6. All in Tartarus are Movement 7. They all have the Relentless special rule. 17 of the 23 Terminators have Stubborn.
That's
Five,
interesting, though, isn't it?
five have Inexorable. And the last one is Fearless, meaning usually always using full unmodified leadership values, which yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty good. That's interesting. And I'd say what's really interesting about that is that the inexorable, if you add like a character who doesn't have inexorable, that unit loses inexorable. So it's way better to have stubborn
Uh
or fearless than inexorable, unless you are a
Interesting.
Terminator character with inexorable
Yeah.
as well. So that's an interesting one.
But also something to think about if you are planning on adding a character
Yeah.
to a unit of inexorable.
Yeah.
22 of the 23 have 2 wounds and one has 3 wounds each.
Mm.
Many of these may swap to a variety of heavy weapons, including plasma blaster, autocannon, heavy flame. These are not listed in the comparisons.
Yeah.
Um, so the seeding, this is how we're looking at. So we're going to do a round one, uh, and then a round two, which is basically the round one, but
Mhm.
just because we've got odd numbers,
Yes. Okay.
it
Yeah.
all
I see.
goes a bit funky.
Yeah.
So first up will be the Formentarus versus Gorgon, Farragar versus Dominators, Ebon Keshig versus Learning,
The shit ones
Grave
versus the shit
Grave
ones.
Wardens versus Huskars, Death Shrouds versus Deathwing Cataphracti, Contica versus Deliverer. Ooh, sorry, Night Lords. Phoenix versus Deathwing Tartarus.
Yeah, and lots of these, if you're looking at these, scratching your head, wondering, I don't know what Deathwing Tartarus are, it's because they are either exemplary battle units or they are from the Legacies PDF. So you might be looking at those being like, I don't recognize those from the core rulebook. That's the reason. That's the reason why.
Indeed. Indeed. So, shall we?
Let's
Shall we
begin.
step into the ring for round one?
Ding
Ding
ding!
ding! So, Formentarus. How are we going to do this? Just go through each one and then
Yeah,
have a
do you
bit of
want
a
to do you want
discussion?
to do you want to take I'll take the one on the left and you take the one on the right. So I'll go through the Fulmentaris and you can go through the
Yeah,
Gorgons.
cool.
So basically you can already tell who's going to win this because Fulmentaris before were absolute, like they were so good that Alpha Legion just took them as routinely. But they got so badly nerfed in the latest round of facts that
Wah,
basically
wah,
they
wah.
are unusable. Basically, just you can't take them anymore because they're rubbish.
Yeah.
So they're 290 points for 5, so 55 points each. They get +1 to shooting a previously targeted unit. That's just their Legion rule.
Yep.
Their weapon skill 4, dog shit. Ballistic skill 5, yeah, that's good. And they've got 2 attacks each. They are leadership 7 inexorable, so that's really poor, really poor. Of course, that's just like their base guy, not their sergeant. And their infinite is of
Okay.
course 4 up, and they've got firing protocols 2. They've got a combi bolter, the Fulmentaris missiles as well. Now, it's interesting because this particular unit, like, if you want to give them a close combat weapon, you actually have to like get rid of the targeting array and give it a close combat weapon. Like they're just so shit. They
Mm.
and also they don't really pack a punch in close combat, and then the weapons on them are very expensive as well. So Formentaris basically just crap now.
I
So
imagine everyone who faced the original Formentarus are shedding tears for the poor Ultramarines players. Oh no.
Yeah.
Um, and then facing them is the Gorgon Terminator. 200 points for five, 35 points each.
Whoa, that's a
Um,
significant difference, isn't it? Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. -1 strength when shot at, which again is just a lead. Well, it says there, Legion. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, attacks 2, leadership 8, stubborn
Yeah, that's
5
pretty good,
plus
isn't it?
invulnerable save, 5 plus feel no pain. Gorgon armor can blind. And the default weapon loadout is a combi bolter and a power axe,
Yeah.
but they can be upgraded to power fist, chain fist, lightning claws, and combi weapons, and they cannot be taken as a retinue.
Yeah. It's interesting these guys because you might look at um just like the 5 up invuln and go, oh well, that's not very good. But then you just consider, okay, well, Melter isn't instant killing them any longer if you're shooting at them.
Yeah,
And then not only is it not instant killing them, they have their 5 up invuln, and then they've got a 5 up feel no pain as
yeah.
well. Like it's a bit, it's tougher with las cannons, because they'll only get the 5 up. But the chance to blind your opponent is just is brilliant. And the fact that they just come with, I mean, they just come with a close combat weapon, and the Fomentars just do not. I mean, it kind of like sums it up, right?
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. There are. It's the weapon skill 4 that lets both of these down, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
the.
a hundred
That's the.
percent. But the thing is, yeah, if they were fighting against each other, then I think the Gorgons
Just
are
like
gonna
fuck it.
yeah, are gonna win this. Now, this isn't always a comparison of
Yeah,
like them fighting against each other, but yeah, I think that in this scenario, they're just gonna do really well. Um, but yeah, they are not amazing Terminators, and I suspect that the Gorgons will be knocked out later on. But I think we're going to give the win to the Gorgons, right, on this one.
yeah. Well, we've got a little cup symbol there that shows who's winning. That just appears immediately. So
Okay.
yeah. So the Gorgons, we have the Gorgons winning this round.
Bing,
Um,
bing.
but let us know what you think. Do you think the Formentarus could beat the Gorgons in a pillow fight? Um, I guess like I know the Formentarius have been nerfed heavily, but they're not. If you're getting them in combat, you're kind of doing it wrong, aren't you?
Yeah,
Their role is shooting, not
yeah,
punching things in the face.
yeah.
It's just that they're not particularly great at that anymore.
Boo.
Oh, fuck! I hated them. God,
I fucking love
oh,
them.
just
It's so
fucking
good.
just gonna hide these behind this massive terrain feature, and you'll never be able to get anywhere near them.
What a glorious time to be alive, man. Cool.
Right, up next.
Yeah,
Ooh,
this is an interesting one, this one.
ooh.
So we got Barragear. So the 250 points for 5, so 45 points each. They are +1 weapon skill on the charge. So the Legion Space rules basically gives 2 different rules, but things that are heavy, that is +1 weapon skill. So actually being weapon skill 6, woo, mama, that's going to be really
Yeah,
important.
that's fucking great.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
BS4, that's okay. It doesn't matter too much because you're going to be charging with these guys, not so much shooting. They're 2 attack space, 8 stubborn. Yeah, that's massively useful. But just remember that's just like a normal guy. They've got a 4 up in bun save. So they're fear 1. So that's going to be again massively useful. If they win the combat, then your leadership is drop down one further.
Mm.
Counter attack. So they're cool with being charged. Hammer of Wrath 2. So you might
Oh,
look at them and go, oh well, 2 attacks. But then you've got just some freebie attacks the
yeah.
moment you uh make base contact. And
Contact.
then
Yeah.
Lord's Bane, so they're chosen warriors. So anyone, so you're not getting your character tied up in a combat. Anybody can just take the challenge. That's great. And then they have a default frost weapon and then a combi bolter. But they can take Power Fist, Chain Fist, and Thunder Hammers as well. Frost weapons are actually just pretty good, but the fact that you can take Thunder Hammers on them is très bien. And
Yeah.
then they cannot be taken as a retinue. Do you want to talk us through the Dominators? Because these are a
I
pretty
do
good unit,
indeed.
I
So
think.
Dominators. Um, I'm trying to remember now. Was this an exemplary battle unit? I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So 225 points for five or 40 points each. The Legion rule +1 strength against dreadnoughts, vehicles, and automata. They are weapons.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that
Rob
that
didn't
was,
realize this.
yeah, that I was in melee. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh fuck yeah. Um, so all the lovely new mech that people are going to be running. Imagine these fuckers running into them.
mashing them with dominators. Yeah,
So weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks each, leadership 9, stubborn, 4 plus invulnerable save. They have hatred automata
yeah, that's pretty
because
good. Oh my God, yeah, these are going to be so good
Perturabo got
against mech,
rid of
aren't they?
them for his little robot boyfriends, and they are chosen warriors. Their default weapons are thunder hammers and combi bolters. Oof. And they come equipped with, they can be equipped with chain fists,
Mhm.
and they can be taken as a retinue, but only for Perturabo.
That's
Um,
interesting. Yeah, this is pretty close for me, I think. But the weight of
I'd say
attacks,
this is pretty close,
yeah,
but
the
um,
weight of attacks and the weapon skill 6, I think will probably hurt the dominators on the first round of yeah.
I
Let's assume they both
think
charge in or
I
whatever.
think it depends how you equip your Varriger as well, because
Yeah,
obviously you've got to pay more to upgrade
yeah,
to Thunderhammers and whatnot. But if they get the charge off, that weapon skill 6 is huge.
yeah. Hitting on fives is
But I mean, Dominators are a threat, and 5 points cheaper each, it adds up. But
yeah.
these guys into Mechanicum will just
Mate, yeah. If it,
fucking
if it, we had a Castellax robot in
mangle.
comparison, I think
Oh
there wouldn't be a
God.
comparison.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
really interesting actually, because yeah, the Dominators, yeah, it's an interesting unit for rewards of treason, I think. But yeah, I think in a
mm.
battle against each other, I think Farragut just take it, but I think it would be pretty
It
pretty close.
pains me to say it, but I do agree, but it does pain me to say it.
Yeah,
The
interesting.
counterattack one is pretty flipping
Pretty good,
awesome as
right?
well, isn't it?
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
charge, I think these guys probably just pip it, I think. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, let's go to the next one. Do-do-do. Oh, God. God, these are the both, I think, in my opinion. I mean, Lee made some good points about the names, but I think two particularly shit Terminators.
Yeah.
So we've got the Eben Keshig at 200 points for five, so 40 points each. They get +1 move, so that does make the movement 8 because they're obviously usually movement 7. So they do get +1 for their charge, which is nice. And again,
Yeah.
it's the weapon skill 4. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4. These have got
It's
3 attacks each,
so
though.
big in this edition, isn't it? So big.
Yeah, the weapon skill is massive. But they do have 10 stubborn. And that's just like on
Yeah.
a normal guy. That's not even on like a normal character.
I feel like
Uh,
you'd need 10 stubborn when you're getting battered.
yeah. They've got a 5 up invalid save, but they've also got a 5 up feel no pain.
Ooh.
They've got the crash rule, which basically means an independent character may not join them, but they relinquish their kill points. They come with a power glaive, and they can take a power weapon or a power fist, and they are not a retinue. Um, yeah, so that's the Ebon Sheikh. The lanes, yeah, it takes through the lanes, but the only thing that isn't put on there is that they are also line as well than lanes.
Ah, yes. So 250 points for five or 45 points each. Legion rule is they always count as being extra 2 inches away.
That just a correction that should say
Oh,
50
sorry.
points. 50 points each, that should say, not 45.
Oh, interesting.
I think
That's
he might mean 45 points each for adding more
yeah,
on.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Sorry, sorry,
Sorry,
sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. So 250 for five, and then if
Yeah, but then
for every one
45
after
each.
that, it's
Got
45.
it, got it, got it. I see.
They are a measly weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, attacks 2, leadership 8, stubborn 4 plus invuln. They have it will not die 5
Yeah,
plus,
that's not bad, yeah.
Hydron exemplar, so +1 to hit against chosen LA.
Yeah, that I think that's the thing that's just going to pip it. I think against the Evan Keshake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they come with a Volkite Charger Power Axe, but they can be upgraded to Power Fist, Chain Fist, and they cannot be taken as a retinue.
yeah, interesting.
Um,
I think again, this is a close call. Like they've both got quite different rules, but
mm,
in like a close combat, I mean, just having the fact that they've got Volkite charges, they've got a lot of shots against the Eben Keshig. the fact that they get +1 to hit, which I think will just pip it over the Ebenkeshik.
Yes, I agree. I also believe that neither of these units' job is to go after elite Terminators.
Yeah, no, 100% not.
Um, I just think, yeah, Lernian, like you say, they have line. They want to be scoring and
Yeah,
beating up tax squads, not trying to fight Legion Terminators. So
yeah,
yeah,
100%.
cool.
Cool. So give that
Lernian
one to
for
the
the win.
Lions. Yeah, Lions for the win on that one. I mean, is there any any
Fucking hell.
contest on this one?
Christ.
So Grave Wardens. So Grave Wardens against Huskars, Imperial Fist Huskars. So Grave Wardens are obviously a Death Guard unit. So it's 250 points for 5, and they're 45 points each. They ignore movement modifiers. Basically, that's the rule. Although that wouldn't matter too much for this unit because I guess that they will be just relentless as a matter of course. Their weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4. I think personally that hurts them a little bit because I think these are like a mid-range shooting unit, and the fact that they're hitting on
Yes. Yeah.
threes, I think it lets them down a little bit. Like
You
if
need to
these,
give them something, don't you? Weapon skill or ballistic skill.
yeah,
Give them
they're
something.
like assault grenade launch is quite good, lots of shots, but they just need to be hitting on twos, I think. 2 attack space, they are 8 stubborn, they've got 4 up in bun save, and they are shrouded 6 up, not bad. Firing protocols 2, so they can just do 2 lots of shooting if so. Shrouded in death, enemy charges always disordered. That's not too shabby. Um, and then they've got a Power Fist assault grenade launcher and a Death Cloud projector, and then they can be upgraded with a Chain Fist. Over to you for the Huskars.
Oh, fucking Imperial Fist wankers. 275 for 5 and 50 points each. Legion rule has no effect on this unit. They are weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4. They're 2 attacks each, leadership 8, stubborn. They have a 3+ invulnerable save with their vigil shield.
They just come with that as well. You don't need to buy the visual shield; it just comes
Oh,
within the unit.
fucking
Like,
hell.
and I think that's crazy, isn't it? When you compare the
Yeah,
like a Grave Warden's 45, and then a Huskar is, and then the Huskar is just so
50
much
points
more.
for a 3+ invuln.
Yeah,
Iron Bulwark. If 3 or more models gain battle hardened when charged, and they come with deep strike. Their default weapons are power weapons, but they can be given Solarite Power Gauntlet, and they can be taken as a retinue.
yeah.
So I
I
think,
don't think they can be given a banner, but I think they can be taken as a
right,
retinue.
okay. Um,
Um,
I think
yeah,
it's a fairly obvious win for the Huskars here.
yeah. It's just they're just smashing them. They've got 3 up in bun
Oh, they're
save, and the
so
fact that they're battle
tough.
hardened. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, just fucking Imperial Fist. Oh, God.
Cool.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah. So over to the Huskars. I
Huskars
mean,
for the
I
win.
don't think there's any way the Grave Wardens could probably win against them. I mean, maybe if the Huskars charge and you get lucky. But the problem is you're hitting on fives and the fists are hitting you on threes, and they've got a 3 up invuln. And it's the 3 up invuln
Yeah.
plus the battle hardened that is the absolute kicker for these
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
Huskars every time.
Yeah. Over to the next one. Okay, so Death Shroud versus Deathwing Cataphracti
Oh.
Companions. So they are 2 for 140 points, but they're 70 points each. These are the most expensive Terminators we've seen so far, and if not, they are probably the most expensive Terminators in the game.
Mm.
So they ignore movement modifiers. So that's important, actually. I didn't mention last time, but actually they're not slowed by difficult terrain. And
Yes.
for these Tartarus, not being slowed by difficult terrain is actually pretty good. Right, so these guys are weapon skill 5, lovely jubbly, ballistic skill 5, and they have 3 attacks base. They've got leadership 9 stubborn, amazing. And then they've got 5 up in bun. They got 3 wounds peace. They are chosen warriors, but they're also battle hardened as well. Which is just again, so they don't have the survivability of say the in the sense of an invuln save, but they have an additional wound, and they have battle hardened on top of that as well. And it's not like the battle hardened is just always on. Like it's for everything. Like so, um, yeah, last cannons. It's just like yeah, whatever. I will just yeah, I'm not going to die to this. Um, Yeah, you need strength 10 to be able to kind of like double them out. So yeah. They've got an Alchem pistol and a power scythe and then melter bombs, and they can be taken as retinue. And just although we're not doing comparison, the power scythe combined with like rad grenades is a like an amazing combination. And just make these guys super duper scary. Right, do you want to take us through the Deathwing Cataracti companions?
Yes. So 240 points for five, but you cannot buy any additional. Legion rule, if you're taking them as Deathwing, is +1 to hit with the swords. Their weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks, leadership 8, inexorable. 4 plus invuln, they are chosen warriors and they are Deathsworn companion. Special rule means they ignore precision hits.
Very good.
Um, they have the Calibanite Warblade and they come with a combi bolter and they can be upgraded to Tyrannic Greatsword, Power Fist, or Thunderhammer. And they must be taken as retinue.
That's interesting. These guys are quite good. They're yeah, they're like a yeah, they're just quite good, aren't they? They're just a solid
Yeah.
Terminator like option. If you add like I don't know, Coursewayne to them, then they would lose inexorable, but then they would gain kind of like his rules. And they're obviously Deathwing, and they can only be Deathwing because they are, of course, Deathwing Cataracts companions. But I think an upgrade would obviously be the Tyrannic Greatswords or the Thunderhammers. But
Yes.
again, I mean, just with those stats, with the things that they come with, like the Calibanite Warblade, like they're not going to win against the Death Shroud. The Death Shroud are going to take these guys down. But when you start thinking, okay, well, what are the different weapon options? Then I think it'd be a closer battle. But I think again, for me, it's just the battle hardened is the thing that really,
Yes.
really helps these
Yeah.
guys.
I think this is a slightly unfair matchup for the Deathwing for
Yeah,
round one. Otherwise, they'd have probably done a bit better. But
yeah,
I think yeah, Death Shroud for the win. But I mean, Death Shroud are so expensive though, aren't they?
really pricey.
I
Yeah,
mean, they're
and they
great,
take up an
but
HQ slot
fuck.
as well. I think their HQ.
Yeah, okay. Um, two for 140.
It's nuts, yeah. But three wounds, it's just the battle hardened. Like three
Three
wounds of battle
wounds and battle
hardened.
hardened is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
But
pretty crazy.
yep, Death Shroud for the win.
Cool, cool, cool.
Uh,
Right,
cool.
let's have a look at the next one. So, okay, well, yeah. So we'll talk about deliverers a little bit later because I've got a lot to say on these guys. But yeah, so the Conticar versus deliverers. Now, what Lee said is definitely true for the Conticar. Like the Conticar's job is not to go after elite Terminators, particularly deliverers, some of the best Terminators in the game. These guys, but are amazing at just killing like tactical squads and stuff like that. So, yeah. So again, it's not a matchup that you would really want to get involved in. Um, they're 225 points for five, so they're 40 points and then 40 points each, which is crazy because looking across the deliverers, like they are exactly the same points. And
Mhm.
for what you can get for deliverers, that's nuts. They get +1 to wound if they outnumber or an enemy is pinned or falling back. Their weapon skill 5, that's pretty good. Their ballistic skill 4, yeah, okay, they're going to have a lot of shots. We'll show you in a bit, but they're going to have a lot of shots. They've got 2 attack space. They're 8 stubborn. They've got a 5 up in bun save. They're chosen warriors, which is actually, again, pretty good. Deep strike, that's really nice. And then Fear One. And again, that's great because when you consider that you're deep striking and you're hoping to pin people, the fact that your opponent's going to be taking it a -1 is actually is just really, really nice. But of course, if you're yeah, deep striking against stubborn units, that doesn't matter so much.
Don't care,
And
yeah.
then their default weapons are heavy flame or a Volkite Caviter and a chain blade. And then some weapon options none. That is, I would have thought they'd be able to take some other weapon options. So I'm just going to look at that because maybe they can't. I don't know. But why don't you talk us through the deliverers?
Yes, I will talk to you about the angry emo.
Yeah.
So 225, 540 points each. The Raven Guard Falcons Legion rule allows them to reroll wands to wound on the turn they charge. Their weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks each, leadership 8, stubborn, 4 plus invulnerable save. They have deep strike. They have battle hardened loyalist, hatred Korax traitor. Oh, okay. Sorry. So if they're loyalist, they have battle hardened. If they're
Yeah.
traitor, they
Yeah.
they hate daddy. I
They're a bit
hate you,
shit,
dad.
shitter. Yeah.
default weapon is combi bolter and power weapons, and they can be upgraded to power fists, chain fists, and paired raven's talons.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
they
from
cannot
yeah, sorry,
cannot
go.
be taken as a retinue.
For me, it's the paired Ravens Talons, which are the thing that kind of like really help this. But also, what it doesn't say on
Yeah,
there is
I'm
that you can
guessing
you can
paired.
take a multi melter on this unit as well.
Ah, nice. I'm guessing paired raven's talons has oh God, literally the word has just gone from my head. Shred.
Yeah, so it's got shred, but it's 5 up rending as well.
Okay, cool.
And
But
then
that
they
kind of their
yeah.
+1 to wound doesn't meh
No, that doesn't help
because they've
because of
got
the shred.
shred.
It's just that the Ravens Talons are 10 points for each guy. Um, and then so they're hitting on hitting most things on threes or fours, and then they get to re-roll that. Like
Yeah,
it's the
that's
rending that
fucking
really helps these
great.
guys. I
Yeah.
mean, the traitor version's a bit shitter because it doesn't have battle hardened. And again, battle hardened is just like a theme of this episode, I think.
Yeah.
But just to say, no, Kerry's right. The Conticar can't, like a normal Terminator, can't be upgraded. That's just like the weapons they come with. But the sergeant of the squad, the Eschaton, can the dissident he can take a Esconson power claw.
Right.
But it just think that they
It's a
can't.
bit
Yeah, they
shit
can't be
though, isn't it?
upgraded with anything beyond
No.
what they've got. So yeah, but they have a particular job which is hunting assault marines, breachers, tactical marines, and not fighting deliverers because deliverers are going to win.
Fucking murder them.
They're gonna absolutely annihilate these.
So deliverers kicking fuck into the Contacar. Sorry, Night Lords, players, but it's not their matchup.
Ding ding out. Yeah. Cool. So we've got Phoenix Terminators and then Deathwing Tartarus companions. So the Deathwing Tartarus companions are basically just a riff off the Deathwing Cataphractii. I think they can
Yeah.
just do all the same things, but they're just in Cataphractii. But the Phoenix Terminators are interesting. So they're 200 points for 5, but they're a bargain at 35 points each. Isn't that crazy? They get +1 initiative on the charge, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4. That's fine. Doesn't matter about that so much. 2 attacks each. They've got 8 stubborn for a normal guy. And then a 5 up invulnerable save. They've got skill unmatched and then living icons. So they get +1 to combat resolution. They have Phoenix power spears, and then surgical augments as well, and they can be taken as a retinue. Now, so we've gone through surgical augments before, and like some of those can be rather gnarly. So yeah, I these are a really good unit. I mean, the thing that hurts them is that they're not a 5 up. They're not a 4 up. They're a 5 up.
Yeah.
And their weapons are AP3 unless they get it's the sixes you're really looking for. But yeah, do you want to talk us through the companion terminators?
Yeah, I just have to say that the Phoenix Terminators are some of the best models out there. I would
100%.
love to see a updated, slightly bigger version of these because they're kind of tiny nowadays, but man alive, they look fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so Deathwing Tartarus companions are pretty much exactly the same, I want to say.
Yeah.
Uh, 225 for 5, and you can't add any more. So if you take them with the Deathwing rule, they get +1 to hit with swords, weapon skill 5, this skill 4, 2 attacks, leadership 8, inexorable, 5 plus invulnerable save. Chosen Warrior, Death Swarm Companion, ignore precision hits. They come with the Calibanite Warblade and Combi Bolter, and they can be upgraded to Tyrannic Greatsword, Power Fist, Thunder Hammer, and they must be taken as a retinue.
Yeah, it's interesting. So the Phoenix, God have surgical augments, and one of those can be -1 to hit, and they are immune to the effects of fear. So, like the Deathwing Tartarus companions, they get +1 to hit, and then it'd be negated by the fact that your
Yeah.
surgical augments with them be -1 to hit, and then they have all their funky rules for their skill unmatched. So like, a perfect guard, if a model or models with the skill unmatched rule selects the option, they must increase their weapon skill by +1 for the purposes of determining the score required for any models to make hit rolls. So you can make it super difficult for the Deathwing Tartarus companion to actually hit you. Yeah, and then the actual weapon itself, just as a reminder, so the power spear, it's +2 strength, it's AP3, it's reach 1, murder strike 6 up, and breaching 6 up as well. So you are hoping for those murderous strikes. But I mean, these two just basically are like bouncing off each other unless they get kind of like lucky with rending swords
Yeah.
or the breaching spears. But I think I'd probably just give it to the Phoenix because they're just so hard to hit, or they can make themselves so hard to hit.
Plus, whatever damage they're doing before you do it,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
which can be huge if you
yeah,
have a lucky kind of roll
yeah,
and do quite a bit of damage,
yeah,
um,
100%.
even with just wall blades.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I would say though these suffer from the same thing as Conticar, which is that they are not really geared up for fighting other elite Terminators. That
No.
they need to be
Yeah.
fighting like power armored Marines, basically.
Yeah. 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 Cool.
Right.
Phoenix Terminators.
Ding ding. Oh,
So, this is how we're looking at the end of round one.
yeah, interesting.
It's
So we lost Fomentara, not Fomentaris Dominators, Ebon Keshe, Grave Warden, Deathwing Companions, Conticar, and Deathwing Terminators. It's interesting about the Dominators because if they'd had like if they had been matched up against like Grave Wardens, they would have been straight
yeah.
through, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
again, this is not it's just like a random draw. So there are some things that will have done well depending on the matchup, like England in the Euros or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But
It's
sometimes they just get knocked out.
plus also, like we mentioned, some of these units, their role is not to fight other elite Terminator units. I mean, I would throw Dominators into an elite unit if
Oh yeah,
that's
100%.
because the trouble with Iron Warriors is they don't have a lot of good close combat units.
Yeah.
And that is a good close combat unit.
Yeah, I
But I
might
mean,
consider charging the I mean, in that scenario, I might
yeah,
consider
yeah,
charging the Barrier and
yeah,
go, actually, I reckon that I could potentially take them. The
yeah.
issue is when the Barrier charge, that's when I think it's going to become a
With the
little bit
weapon
harder.
skill
Yeah.
6. Ooh, fucking Space Wolves.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something to think about. The matchups may not have been particularly fair to some of these, or it's just not their role to be fighting
Yeah.
other elite Legion units. But this is where we're standing. So we go into round two. Oh, let's see. Who have we got up first? Sekhmet versus Gorgon.
Ding, ding. Yeah. Okay. So we obviously gone through the Gorgons, so we won't kind of like rehash that one, but we'll go
No.
through these newer Terminators. So the Segmet. So they're 275 points for five. They're 50 points each. Please bear in mind that they have Arcana options. So it could be like they could like move three or whatever, right? You know, your +3 to their movement, just through their Arcana rule. They just get that as like a matter of course. That's just the thing that they
Yeah.
can have. They're weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks, and they're 8 stubborn. And again, you can start to see now that these guys are just starting to pip the Gorgons, right? You can kind of see, okay, well, they're weapon skill 5, you know, etc. They've got 4
Yeah.
up invent, you know, beats the Gorgons 5 up. And then their rules basically come from their Arcana, but I mean, we don't want to mention it too much here, but the Sergeant can take a psychic power. So if it takes like Biomancy or whatever, then the whole unit gets buffed with like Biomancy. Their default weapons are combi bolters and a K and Force weapon, which could be a Force Axe, for example, but you can make that power go off. Like anybody can make that power go off, and then that would be +2 strength on the Achaean Force weapon. And I don't think there is a penalty if it doesn't work. There's no like, it's not like D3 wounds on the unit. It's just like
Right. Okay.
it
Just
just
didn't happen. Yeah.
doesn't happen. And then they can be upgraded for Power Fist, Lightning Claws, Chain Fist, and Thunder Hammers. Thunder Hammers are a really good
Mm.
option for them because I think they're only 10 points
Oh,
apiece, but they
nice.
can't be taken as retinue. And then they're going against the Gorgons, and so they're going up against like a weapon skill 4 unit. They've got these Achaean Force weapons that can be +2 strength, so like a Force Axe, yeah, a +2 strength is going to mince them, and even with like a Thunder Hammer, it's just going to absolutely brutalize them.
Yeah.
I can't see the Gorgons really surviving against a Cataphracti Sekhmet, especially with all its kind of like powers gone off, right? Um, yeah, I mean you might get lucky and get blind them, but yeah, the unit's got to survive to be blind them, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, the weapon skill is such a huge difference that, yeah, I don't see the Gorgon surviving this matchup unless they get lucky.
Negative.
Um,
So yeah, so we're giving it to the segment on this one.
Sekhmet winners.
Bing bing.
Oh, come on. Leave
Mate,
them alone.
Morlocks are like the bane of my existence. Do you want to take us through the tyrants? Because you're a
Yeah.
fan of the Iron Warriors.
So Tyrant Siege Terminators, obviously part of the best Legion in the whole wide world. 300 points for 55 points each. Obviously, they get Legion rule +1 strength, shooting and assault versus dread, automata, and vehicle. Their weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, attacks 2, inexorable, leadership 8, inexorable, 4 plus invuln, firing protocols 2, combi bolter, power fist, tyrant missile. Chain fist, paired lightning claw can be taken, but generally you just don't bother.
Yeah.
Um,
These are like a
and
backfield unit, right? I mean, you're not going to
yeah,
be
so
using
this
them
is
as opposed to.
exactly where, it's a Legion specific Terminator unit, but these guys and they can, you know, they're they're cataphractii Terminators, so they can hang around, but their job is to shoot things in the face with their Tyrant missiles. That is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
They are some of. I mean, they get the style points. I think they're some of the best Terminator models
oh God, yeah.
created by GW. So yeah.
Yes.
So the Morlocks, they are 150 points for three, and oh my God, they're 35 points. That is too cheap. That is way
Yeah.
too cheap.
Yeah.
And you can max them out at five, so kind of like a standard, retinue Terminator squad. They're -1 when getting shot at, and their weapon skill 5 as well. They are ballistic skill 4, meh, and they're 2 attack space. They've got 8 stubborn, but I'm sure one of them can take a banner in that unit, which will give a nice tasty 10 stubborn. And they got 4 up in button. So far at the moment they're just they're winning on the weapon skill. Um, and then this is where it gets crazy. So they have battle hardened 1. That's just like on all the time.
Ugh.
And then they've got -1 strength when shot at, right? So you you can't then like strength 10 doesn't even kill them if you're shooting at them, because then that becomes strength 9. But because they're battle hardened, you need, like, I'd assume it would be strength 11 to actually double them out in shooting. Um, yeah, and then they're battle hardened just in close combat as well. So you need strength 10. Like, you need a Solarite Gauntlet to double them out. So they're very, very survivable. And then they've got Fate of the Gorgon, which is chosen warriors, and then they've got preferred enemy Emperor's Children, which I think is really cool, really thematic.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that.
and then
Yeah.
they've got a combi bolter and power weapon, and they can take power fist, chain fist, lightning claw, or a grav gun, which is interesting. I think you're probably going to go for the power fist, chain fist, but a grav gun is always nice to have in there. Slowing down your enemy, or just trying to ping a glancing hit on a tank, and then they can be taken as retinue. In fact, I think they're an HQ choice. And yeah, so basically they're just insanely survivable at shooting, but they're just survivable in close combat as well. And then the tyrants are going to be able to not hit them because they're weapon skill 4, and the Morlocks are just going to smash them in the face with their weapon
Yeah.
skill 5. There's no doubt in my mind. This is just like, yeah, Morlocks will win. Like,
Yeah,
Morlocks.
yeah. Morlocks fucking murder siege tyrants in this scenario.
Ding
And
ding.
even shooting them as they're approaching them, the Morlocks are probably just laughing in
Ding ding
fucking
ding.
iron hands.
Yeah, 100%.
Ah, fucking iron hands. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
what have we
So
got
this is where
now?
we're getting some winners knocked out here, isn't it?
Yes,
Do
yes.
you want to take us through the fire drakes?
Yes, so 250 points for 5, 45 points each, -1 to wound with Flamer, Melter, Plasma, and Volkite.
That is so. I looked at that rule previously, and I was like, that's shit. That's not good. And then I played some salamanders at no retreat, and then my las cannons were like wounding on threes, and Volkites were wounding on threes, and plasma were wounding on threes. And I was like rolling ones and twos. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Because usually I'm quite reliant on just, only ones failing.
Why are your
Um
last cannons?
oh, sorry, not las. Sorry, not las. No.
I was like,
Sorry, I meant
I was
melter. I
like,
meant
someone's
melter. I
done you
meant melter.
dirty there,
I
mate.
meant, I meant melter. I meant melter.
Oh,
But like
okay, yeah.
melter would, usually win on twos, and it's just like, oh, you're now winning on threes, and actually it did make a
Yeah,
big difference, right?
And a lot of people put Melter on their dreadnoughts and
Mhm.
their Leviathan dreadnoughts.
I mean,
So
if I'm shooting Melter at a Leviathan Dreadnought, it would usually wound on a 4, and now I'm winning on a 5. Like,
yeah,
it's actually
that's huge. Yeah,
pretty strong rule. Yeah.
yeah. Um, sorry, I lost where I was now. So
Weapon
weapon
skill.
skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks, leadership 9, stubborn.
That's great.
Invulnerable save is 4 plus, but can be 3 plus. Um, it will not die 5 plus. Forgecraft, reroll all ones to hit in combat. Power. They come equipped with power weapons and combi bolters and can be upgraded to thunder hammers, power fists, chain fists, and storm shields. And can be taken as a retinue.
Yeah. I mean, the Thunder, you're going to put a Thunder Hammer on them and then give them a 3-up
I
invuln,
mean,
and
it's
then
literally what the model comes with.
yeah, and then you're going to smash your opponent in the face
Yes.
because they are fire drakes and they are so survivable because that 3-up. Now it's interesting because they've not got a battle hardened, but just the 3-up alone is just amazing. So,
Yes. Yeah. 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 Oh
and then we
God.
had the Varagir. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because like the Varagir charged in, and they're all armed with thunder hammers. Then they might have a serious chance. The fire drakes would be hitting them on 5s, but re-rolling 1s. But I think just on balance, the 3-up is is the thing that really kind of like pips them and makes them really really strong. It's interesting. The
Yeah.
theme I think so far, and this will be a theme at the end, is that can you increase their invuln save, and does it have battle hardened? Are like the
Yeah.
two key
Yeah.
features of what
Yeah.
makes a really
Well,
decent.
yeah, and weapon skill 5
Yeah, yeah.
because I feel like weapon skill 4 you're not really in the
If
mix,
you have
right?
those three things, weapon skill
Yeah.
5, a 3-up invuln, and then and battle hardened somehow, you are you have a great set of Legion Terminators. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think this is pretty close just because the weight of attacks from the Varagir,
Yeah,
particularly on
I
foot.
agree. I agree. I think this would be close. I think it would be less close if the Varagid don't get the charge,
Yeah,
or um, it's like the second round of combat. You've
yeah,
managed to weather the storm,
yeah,
and then you're on, well, not even on even playing fields because you're re-rolling ones now.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
It's
man,
interesting.
yeah, Fire Drake's fucking
And you're
great,
probably going to
aren't
put a character in there, and then he's going to take Mantle of the Elder Drake, and then he's going to have Battle Hardened, right? So, like,
they?
I know I'm adding things into the mix here, but it's
Yeah.
just like the combination of Fire Drakes with like characters. I think is just like, oh, okay,
It
that
is
makes
interesting though. What would you put more emphasis on? The ability to throw out attacks and do devastating attacks,
no
or the ability to weather them?
survivability. Yeah,
Survivability.
whether them because I think
Yeah.
weapons are fairly standardized across Elite Terminators. What you'll
Yeah.
always tend to find is that people will take like half the unit will take Thunder Hammers. Like so you just kind of go, okay, well that's just a thing. Like Thunder Hammers will just be in a unit. So
Mm.
and it makes it when I know a 3 to a 4 it doesn't sound like much, but you're losing half your guys to a third of you to a third of your guys you're gonna or 2/3 of you guys you're gonna save against half of them.
Mm.
And I just think that the survivability, um yeah, I mean I've just been against things with a 3-up and they've just gone, with strength 8, 3-up, 3-up,
Yeah.
3-up,
Yeah. Yeah.
3-up, and they
Yeah.
just saved it all and it's like fuck,
Yeah.
I would have, got rid of half that unit had been a 4-up or whatever. But yeah, again, it's down to dice rolls. But yeah,
Yeah.
for me, I value the more survivability because I think the weapons are fairly standardized for Elite Terminators.
Cool. So Fire Drake's beating the Varagir.
Bing bing. Yeah.
Up
Okay.
next.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. The Crimson Paladins and the Nayans because I think two quite underwhelming units, but really, the Crimson Paladins are not really designed to go against other elites, but they have a fuck ton of rules, don't they? So they're 145 points for 3, and they're 40 points each. They get +1 to wound in combat, which isn't too shabby. Their weapon skill 5, so already the Lions are gonna, the Lions can, if they choose Blood Angels, they can hit them on 3s. Sorry, no, they're hitting them on fours. Sorry, my bad. They're hitting them on fours, but then the
Yeah.
Crimson Paladins will be hitting back on threes. So, yeah, it's just something to consider. Ballistic skill four, that's not going to matter too much, and then two attack space. Um, the stubborn 10. Fuck, like stubborn 10
Ooh.
is
Yeah.
just yeah. They even if they lose combat, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They've got invuln save 4 up. Both of them have got invuln save 4 up. So far they're pipping them on weapon skill and pipping them on the leadership. They've got deep strike, blood is forever, so feel no pain when outnumbered. And because they're quite small unit, the lightness is they'll probably most of the time be outnumbered anyway.
Mm.
And they've got a power weapon and a Coriolis shield, which is minus. There you go, -1 to hit,
Oh,
right?
fuck.
So
Yeah.
that Linnaean special rule gets cancelled out because you've got the -1 to hit
Yeah.
shields,
Yeah.
and then they can take a sunset blade, which I think is like rending 5 up from memory, and then or a power fist and a chain fist. Now I think the power fist and chain fist are quite expensive on that unit,
Okay.
um, but yeah, and they can't be seconds retinue. So for me, I think that just like the Crimson Paladins have all the answers to the Linnaeans, and then just
Yeah.
pip it on a number of things. I'm not saying that the Linnaeans wouldn't stick around, but I think if it went to a couple of turns, I think the Crimson Paladins would eventually chew through the Linnaeans.
Yeah. Agreed totally. Crimson Paladins for the win on this one.
Yeah, interesting.
Um,
Yeah, I don't really rate them, but when you see their like rules like stacked up like that, you're like, okay, yeah, no, they look pretty good. And the fact they just come with deep strike, that's pretty snazzy. Like that a lot.
yeah. No, I like these. Yeah. But I definitely have them beating the Lernians.
Yeah, 100%.
What's up next? Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Fucking hell.
right. Do you want to take us
Red
through the Red Butchers?
Red
Because
Butchers
oh,
versus the fucking Huskars. Um, 250 points for 5, 45 points each for the Red Butchers. Additional attack on the charge. Um, so two attacks extra on the charge. Weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 3, two attacks each. Um, they are leadership 6,
crazy.
fearless. Uh, they are 4 plus invuln. They have hatred everything. Ravening madmen. This is where they fall down.
Yeah,
But I do like this rule. So -1 strength against them in combat.
no,
They
that's good.
always count as weapon skill free for being hit.
That's it, isn't it?
Um,
That's it. That's the kicker.
yeah, and I kind of do like the rule. Basically, the fluff behind the rule is they're so lost to the bloodlust that they're not thinking about protecting themselves. They
Yeah.
are just punching people in the face. So it's easier to hit them back because they're just swinging around, not thinking about protecting themselves. The default weapon is two power axes, and that they can be upgraded to two lightning claws, and they cannot be taken as a retinue.
I think that the sergeant can come with two chain fists.
Two
Now,
chain
if this
fists,
unit
yes.
could take like two chain fists on every single guy, I
Mm.
think it would be a different story. The problem is that they are never going, they're not ever going to double out. Like if they charge at the Huskars, you're just like, yeah, fine, whatever.
No.
I've got a 3 up inbound save, and I've also got battle hardened. So like, even your chain fist sergeant is not killing me outright here.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, this
yeah,
is just Huskars though, isn't it? But I mean, these guys throw out a metric fuck ton of attacks. You think like a squad of these, it's like what, 5 attacks each on the charge?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, 25 like power
Then
axe
the
attacks as well, isn't it?
trouble is when you charge them.
Yeah, it's easy to hit them.
Yeah, but if you charge them, they're not getting their additional attacks for charging.
No,
So,
they get one additional attack, don't they? Um,
uh,
they always have like an extra
uh,
attack.
yeah, huh?
Oh, do they not get any attacks if they don't
I don't.
charge?
Uh, if they haven't been charged, no, I don't think so. No,
Okay,
unless I'm
well,
completely
well,
missing
double
something.
check that one. But anyway, I would just yeah. So for me, I think that it's great that they're fearless. But again, I think this is a matter of that. I think these are actually great at killing weapon skill for Marines and dudes, and they don't have the prime of place that they did in the
No,
previous edition.
I still
Um,
think these are really good. I mean,
yeah,
they're weapon skill 5, they're
yeah,
hatred everything,
yeah,
5 attacks each on the charge. Like, they are going to chew through units,
Yeah, I
but
yeah, yeah.
Huskarls are not the one, are they?
They're not the one. No, they're just yeah. I agree. Yeah, um, yeah, agreed with that.
I'm just having a look. Yeah, so fucking hell. I'll be honest, I haven't had a huge look at the World Eaters rules. But yeah, you can give the sergeant either two power fists, two chain fists, or two thunder hammers.
Two thunder hammers.
Imagine
Okay,
that.
okay, I really like
Just,
that. That's
I
good.
feel
Yeah.
like you have to put him on like a 80 mil base to
Two thunder hammers. That's
represent
crazy.
the
Yeah.
swinging thunder hammers.
You know what I'd like to
Um,
see on these guys? Hammer of Wrath 2 as well. Like the idea that these
okay,
guys are
yeah, yeah, yeah,
absolutely like
yeah,
charging in, just absolutely like knocking everybody down
yeah. I don't
before
hate
they
that.
charge as well.
Yeah,
If Varagir can get Hammer of Wrath 2 and then all their rules, I think Red Butchers can get Hammer of Wrath 2.
yeah,
I think that'd be nice. Yeah, we're giving this one to the Huskars. Um, ding ding.
yeah. Unfortunately, fucking Imperial Fists win
Yeah,
again. But I do like the Red Butchers.
yeah, they're good. Yeah. But that means them knocked out. Okay, so so we've gone through the Death Shroud. I've gone through that one. So why don't you take us through the Atramentar?
So
These are
Atramenta.
exemplary battle, I think, these ones.
Okay, fucking hell. So 220 for 5 or 35 each to a maximum of 20.
That's mental.
Shit the bed. Legion rule,
They get their plus one, like plus
if they're
if they
outnumbered, is it?
outnumber. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no. Weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks, leadership 7, inexorable, 5 plus invulnerable. Their special rules, they come with Deep Strike, Fear 1, Cloaked in Murder, which is a +1 to charge, +1 to hit if enemy is already engaged. I quite like
So
that
quite
rule.
yeah, that's good. It's quite situational that though. You
It's
gotta
situational, but I mean I like it because it's just classic
yeah, Night Lords, isn't it? Yeah.
like sneak in and punch them in the back of the head when they're not looking.
Yeah.
The default weapons are combi bolter and power weapons, and they can be upgraded to take power fist, chain fist, thunder hammers, chain glaives, or paired lightning claws, and they cannot be taken as a
Yeah.
retinue.
It's
Um,
interesting this because they are half the points of a Death Shroud.
yeah, yeah,
But and it comes and like they do have some really cool rules. I mean, the fact that they've obviously got their normal Legion rule, and then they've got Fear 1 when they come down in Deep Strike, Cloaked in Murder +1 to the charge. Like they're going to be quite reliable to get in, but that you cannot get away from the fact that they are just weapon skill 4.
yeah,
So they're going to be hitting other elite terminators and the Death Shroud on fives, and that's where I think that they come a bit unstuck. Like because they've also got less attacks than the Death Shroud.
yeah.
I think in reality they probably get I don't know 7 inexorable, like, and the Death Shroud are 9. Like if like the Antramental lose that first round of combat and then they fail their morale check on a 7, which is
You're
it could happen, then
you're
the Death Shroud are just going to sweep that 20-man unit. Like,
you're
you
you're
know,
your 20-man squad of Terminators just gets fucking swept by a handful of Death Shroud.
um,
Um,
but yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
yeah.
that it wouldn't be close, but I do think that again, it's the massive elephant in the room, which is that it's the weapon skill is just so
Well, I think it's all of it, isn't it? I mean, these have got some cool rules, but they're not got weapon skill 5 and they're not particularly survivable.
yeah. I
Especially
could forgive
against.
I could forgive the 5-up invuln if they had weapon skill 5. I think.
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. Agreed. But again, these guys' roles isn't to go hunting down Legion elites, is it? You want to be throwing these into objective holding tac
I
squads,
think that would be
breaches,
a
etc.
criticism from Night Lords players, which is that they don't really have units that can take on
Elite units.
a Morlock unit, like in close combat. Like they will
Yeah,
just get flattened every time
yeah,
with a similarly sized unit. Um, because they're also reliant on their plus 1, and you know when you're going against other elite units, is it might be that you're not actually outnumbering them. So I think that's so they're
yes,
relying then on
yeah,
the
yeah.
shooting with las
Unless you have
cannons.
20.
unless you're Tony, of course. But then you're reliant on las cannons to like take out other units, and then we know if you are shooting at Morlocks with las cannons, that's actually quite much more difficult than you might think.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's yeah. I found this with Iron Warriors is you don't really have anything to fight that tough close combat unit. But what Iron Warriors do have is the ability to blow up their transport straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, and then just stay away from them. I think, yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? But yeah, Atramenta in this situation are getting their teeth kicked in.
yeah, yeah, and
Um,
that's true actually, because that's not how the Night Lords play. That's not like the
no,
thing, is it? Like Night Lords
no,
aren't about like
fair
going
fights.
going to,
No,
exactly going toe to toe with elite terminators,
no.
although it's a missing within their legion list. Like that's not like it doesn't like
Stay
play to
away
the,
from the elites and
yeah.
pick on the people that can't fight back. Is
Exactly, that
yeah,
is
is
the
the
way
Night
that they
Lord's
do it.
way.
Yeah.
So actually, I mean, the rules are actually very fitting to the Legion.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Um,
They gotta work their way around elite units in
yes.
different ways, I think. Cool.
Oh,
Okay, so giving that one over to the Death Shroud.
definitely, yes. Oh,
Ding ding. Yeah, so I mean these are basically a copy of one another. I mean the deliverers are basically just Aaron and just Aaron are basically
yeah. Well,
deliverers. Like
that
we've
was
done
the
a kind
fluff,
of a
wasn't
whole
it?
whole
Yeah,
whole show on it. But
yeah.
so the just Aaron, they're 275 points for five. They're 50 points each. They are
Mm.
very, very expensive. And I think that is a common criticism of Just Aaron. They are way more expensive than lots of other Terminators. They get -1 strength for the first round of combat. That is actually a useful rule to have. So, like, Power Fists will not be doubling them out. They'll be Strength 7 Power Fists.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
in the first round of combat, and particularly useful if you compare it with some kind of like Primus Medicae, or feel no pain of some kind, because yeah, you're like, oh, this power fist is strength 7, so that means I get my feel no pain against it. They've got weapon skill 5, they've got ballistic skill 5, and they've got 3 attacks. Base 3 attacks are really, really nice, especially when you pair it with like lightning claws or something like that. They got 9 stubborn, and they got 4 up in burn. So far, like as a comparison, the Justarian are just
Yeah.
kind of like almost just like pipping,
Just yep.
pipping the
Slightly more
deliverers.
attacks. Yeah.
Exactly. The Justarian have Furious Charge, and they've got Chosen Warriors as well. So again, they're like axes that they would usually come with are just at +1 strength, which is just quite nice. And then they basically have all the weapon options you would possibly want to choose from. Like if you're taking just there and you're going to sprinkle some thunder hammers in, you've got lightning claws, so they have 6 attacks each on the charge,
Mm.
um, which is just really nice, and they can be
Yeah.
taken as a retinue. And for like Horus and Abaddon, if they are taken as retinue, they then gain deep strike, and it can also take a banner as well. The Justarian have a lot going for them.
Mm.
Um, they're just quite a pricey, quite pricey. Deliverers, they just like are just a little bit less good. Yeah, a little bit less good, a little bit less good, a little bit less good. They have an 82 strike, and then you get to the point they go, oh, they've got battle hardened. So
Yeah.
even for me, even though they're just like slightly less good on every front, they're cheaper. They're 50 points cheaper. They're 10 points each guy cheaper. And then they are just like, okay, but also we have Battle Hardened as well. So, like, your Power Fist, like, even in the second round of combat, can't kill me. Like, it's not like just
Yeah.
there in the first round. It's just like, yeah, I just have Battle Hardened, like, all the time for shooting and for close combat. And I think for me, again, Battle Hardened is just like, yeah, okay, if you have that, you're pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. I agree. But what I would throw in here is a little caveat is that if Justarian for some reason were fighting against traitor deliverers,
Oh, they fuck
I
them up.
would give this to the Justarian.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah. They would fuck
So
their shit up.
it,
Yeah,
it is literally the battle hardened that are keeping the deliverers from,
alive,
well,
isn't it?
making
Yeah,
the deliverers win.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And actually,
Just
maybe
that
if you had like
one
a
thing.
Just Therein, just go toe to toe with a normal deliverer without any upgrades. I think maybe the Just I mean, it would be fairly equal, but I think the Just Therein might be able to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah. Deliverers, they're so good, but just they're pretty good. They're quite pricey though. I mean,
They are a
like,
lot, aren't they? I
yeah,
didn't realize they were that expensive, but I
I
do
mean,
like the Justarian a lot. I think they're very good. I don't know if
yeah,
they're 50 points each good, but
yeah. Okay.
unfortunately for them, battle hardened loyalist deliverers
Oh
uh
God.
win.
If you imagine just Justarian with Battle Hardened, they would be considered the best
Oh
unit in the
God.
game. I think if that was the case, they would
S-
literally have everything.
Would they beat Imperial Fists?
I think they would. If they just had native battle hardened all
Yeah.
round, I think they would because you would need what, like strength 11 to kill them outright in the first round of combat. I think
Yes.
you would no, yeah, you would need strength 11 to kill them, and so few things. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that can get strength 11 apart from like Ferrus Manus's hammer.
Yeah, no.
There's
What's a
not.
Solarite Power Gauntlet?
It's 10.
Strength
It's 10. A
10.
10 would not because a
What if you
10.
charge something with rad grenades and then
Yeah,
charge?
then it might be a bit. Then it might be different. Then it might be different. Oh my God, yeah, Battle Hardened or just Aaron, I think actually would make them, yeah, the best one, if not the best. Yeah, one of the best, if not the best unit in the game. I think, but it
I
doesn't have that,
see.
so it doesn't
I'll
matter.
be honest. I wouldn't be angry at that.
No, I wouldn't for
Like, I
275
wouldn't be
points. When you
angry.
think that like Morlocks just come with Battle Hardened and they've like got 35
Yeah.
points to do, you're just like, yeah,
But
that's
then don't all the Justarian just get killed in a tunnel underneath?
yeah,
So,
that they do, that they
so they're
do.
not that fucking great, are
Not
they?
that
So
hard,
there's your
yeah.
battle hardened. Yeah, fuck off. Get in that tunnel, dickheads. Um,
Cool. Do you want to
so what
take
we
us through
got
the Knights of
next?
Zenobium?
Yeah, so we've got Phoenix versus the Knight Cenobium. So 275 for 50 points each. So same cost as a Justarian. They obviously have access to the Hexagrammaton, the Dark Angel's Hexagrammaton. Their weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 4, 2 attacks, leadership 9, stubborn, 4 plus invulnerable, adamantium will, order exemplars. I don't
Yes.
suppose you know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
that
So
is.
basically, they can have there's 6 additional rules that they can choose. Most often, people will go for like the +1 to hit on the sword, or like a +1 to hit, sorry, the +1 to hit. So they
Okay.
get +1 to hit on the sword from their Deathwing rule, and then they get +1 to hit on top of that. So they're basically hitting on twos most of the time. There are other rules that might be good in certain occasions. I think it like if you go and get monstrous creatures or automata or something
Right.
like that, there are other rules that you can choose, but the ones that you need to watch out for are the ones that are going to be hitting you with swords on twos.
And they come equipped with the Tyrannic Greatsword and the Plasma Caster, and they can be upgraded to Thunder Hammers, and they
Yeah.
cannot be taken as a retinue.
I think Thunderhammers are dirt cheap. If they're either free or they're like 5 points, they are dirt
Okay.
cheap on these guys. The other thing that we haven't said that's not on this is that every single one is a character as well. Um,
There it is.
so you can spread runes around
Spread your
really
wounds
easily.
around.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know if Phoenix are Phoenix. Actually, I'm just going to check. I don't know if Phoenix are, but so for me, I think that uh that the Tyrannic Greatsword is one of the best like um weapons in the game. It's got 5 up rending and it's got Murder Strike 5 up as well. So you are quite reliant. Like they're quite swingy, I think. But there'll be
yeah,
games where they do nothing because you can only roll like two, threes, or
yeah,
fours, and there'll
yeah.
be games where they just murder everything because they
All
can
you
only
do
roll
is roll
fives and
five
sixes.
plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So the Phoenix Terminator squads are also characters as well. So actually, on this
Ah.
in this round, you just be spreading your spreading your runes around as best you can. But
Mm.
the moment you get that murderous strike, you're just like, okay, well now I've only got a 5 up. Oh, that guy's dead.
Yeah,
So
that's the trouble, isn't it? Or they're all equipped with thunder hammers.
yeah, and then you're just fucked
Yeah,
basically. Yeah,
yeah, that is the yeah. Um, yeah.
but
Knight
yeah, I think it's
Cenobium for the win.
yes, quite easy to see that the Knights of Opium would win this one. Cool.
That
Right,
is
what have we got?
the downside of the Tartarus armor when you are up against elite
It's the
units
survivability. Yeah,
weapons
it's
is
all
you
very
lose
well
that
you being able to
survivability.
move quicker, but
Yeah,
if you're in combat, you're static. You're not going anywhere, and you need survivability.
yeah,
That's the bottom line.
yeah. Interesting. Cool. So, Knight Cenobiums, take it. Oh, so now
We're
we're on
getting
to
closer, aren't we?
round
Yeah. So
three.
last 8. Well, I think we should take a break now,
Yeah,
and then we'll come back after you guys have seen an advert.
cool.
No, go.
Okay, welcome back. We are now moving into round three. Things are starting to heat up. The big boys are left. All the weapon skill four little bitches are dead on the battlefield, lying in their own blood and guts. So up first, we have the Sekhmet versus the Morlocks.
Well, I mean, what do we
Yeah.
say, right? I mean, it comes back to just what we've been saying over and over and over again, which is that the Sekhmet, albeit good, and actually, if they can get Biomancy off, um, then
Oh, yeah, okay.
then actually like they are going to be more survivable. However, with Biomancy becomes the risk of you lose perils and losing guys, whereas the Morlocks don't need to worry about that because it's just always on.
Yeah.
So and I just think they've got similar war gear options, with the exception of maybe the Thunder Hammer. Um, and then you can tie yeah, I right yeah, the Morlocks are just superior because there's no risk with the things
No,
that they've got.
they are just inherently more survivable.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and win this fight.
Ding ding. Yeah, easy. Done. Next.
Um, and actually, like points difference, the Morlocks are 35 each and the Sekhmet are 50.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Like they are, I
Morlocks.
mean, even if you have a squad of 5 Morlocks, they're 220 points, and then the
Yeah,
Sekhmet is 275, and that's
yeah,
not adding on, that's with the exception of War Gear, but there's always going to be about a 50-point difference between them.
yeah,
If it's a
yeah.
squad of 10 Sekhmet, it might be different. One thing I don't think we have discussed though is a Morlock Sergeant. Again, this isn't the way this is supposed to be, but a Morlock Sergeant can take a Cyber Familiar, so he can actually get a 3-up invulnerable save and have Battle
Oh,
Hardened as well.
yes. That's fucking awesome. Fuck, I
Yeah.
love Ions.
It's so good.
Oh, God, man.
Cool. All right. What's
Cool.
what's up next? Morlocks win.
Well, yeah, Morlocks for the win. Fire Drakes
Ah,
versus the Crimson Paladins. Oh,
yeah.
come on.
Yeah. So
Again,
yeah. So it's all very well that they have Feel No Pain, but they
when you're
just
getting battered by
it
Thunderhammers,
does it doesn't
no one
matter.
gives a
They're
fuck.
going to be doubling you out. The weapons of the Crimson Paladins are not going to be able to compete with the Thunderhammers.
No.
And they're just going to be bouncing off the Fire Drakes. And every time that you do get that rending 5 or 6 up, a Fire Drake's just like 3 up. Yeah,
Free up.
whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me again, no question that the Fire Drakes are
Yeah.
gonna win this one, right?
Fire Drakes batter them. Huskarls versus
Yeah.
Death Shrouds.
So
Ooh.
this is interesting because I think there's an issue here of getting charged and then charging. But what is critical is that, and we're assuming that Huskars, of course, have got the shield and the Solar Right Power Gauntlet. The Power Gauntlet just smashes through
Yeah.
the Battle Hardened. Doesn't matter because it's Strength 10. That's the critical thing here. And then, so the hitting on 4s and winning on 2s, and then the fact that you got the Strength 10 against the 5-up invuln of the Death Shroud,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the Death Shroud's Power Scythe is like AP3 and AP2 on 6s or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then it's just going to basically bounce off the Huskars, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the critical thing. Even if the Huskars don't have Battle Hardened on and they charge, um, like I think that the Solar Right Power Gauntlets will just smash through the Death Guard.
Yeah.
So,
I think at this point, that the battle hardened doesn't help the 5+ invulnerable save.
no, yeah,
Um,
it has done like
yeah, they're
previously, but
just
not smash.
rending 6+ for the power
Yeah,
scythe.
they're just
So
bouncing off the
AP3 rending
Huskars.
6+.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like it's interesting. Like Huskars are going to get quite expensive because you need to buy a power gauntlet. I think it's 10 points per guy, or maybe 15. So they're like 60. They will be like 60 points each. But Death Shroud is still 70 points.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Loco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, once again, Huskars for the win.
Rule Supreme.
Bullshit.
That's
Imperial
actually
Fist
this is actually
wankers.
quite a bad matchup for the Death Shroud because
Yes.
they've
Yeah.
just because the strength 10 it just batters them.
It's a slightly finesse unit against
Yeah.
a walking shield.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's it. Right.
Um,
Like
oh,
even like the fire drakes, I think you could kind of go, are they going to struggle here with thunderhammers because they're hitting on fours, they're re-rolling
yeah,
ones, so you're going to get what, like a third, like two-thirds through, and then yeah, you're wounding on twos. What you're going to get like 10, well, I don't know, maybe not even that. Maybe like 8 brutal, 16, and then each death shroud is not going to double out the death shroud. That's the critical thing. They got a 5 up in bun, and they got three
yeah,
wounds apiece. But it's the match up against the Huskars, I think, which is the thing, is the kicker for them.
yeah, yeah. Agreed. Fucking Imperial Fist. Oh, um,
We spoke about this one
Deliverers
a lot, didn't we?
versus Knights Cenobium. So
Yeah.
this was the one where we had a quick look through this beforehand. Rob was like, "Fucking bullshit! No bullshit! Fucking and then he was like, "Oh well, actually, yeah, yeah, okay."
That about sums up what I did. So I'll explain my reasoning. So I think deliverers are some of the best Terminators in the game. If not, yeah, they are the top tier. But the Knights Zenobium, in the same way that the Imperial Fist Huskars, they kind of have the tools to be able to kill the deliverers, which is the Murder Strike 5 up. And so again, there will be times where they will do nothing against deliverers, literally like bounce off them.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
there will be critical moments where those Knights of Omium, because of the Murder Strike and the 5 up, the deliverers are not going to be able to make those saves, and it's just going to kill them outright. So it almost kind of like neutralizes the fact that they've got battle hardened. Um, and I think the deliverers, all armed with Raven's talons, like could do some serious work against the Knights of Zenobium. But
yeah,
again, you can spread wounds around, right? I mean, that's the other thing with the Knights of
yeah,
Zenobium. You can start going, okay, well, this guy's going to take a wound here, this guy's going to take a wound, yeah, etc., etc. So I think that, but I think it was close this one, and I'd like to see it on the tabletop. But I think the Knights of Zenobium just about pipped it, and they totally batter like the traitor
yeah.
version of
Traitor.
these.
Yeah,
Um, but it's an occasion where having battle hardened it just gets slightly trumped by that murder strike, I think. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was yeah. That I mean, that was our big discussion before we came on air because I started crying that the deliverers weren't in like the top three. But
I agree. Yeah. I mean, traitor deliverers, yeah, dead.
yeah,
Um, Loyalist, I think it comes down to, I mean, it's a dice rolling game, but it very much comes down to dice rolls.
yeah.
I think also it depends if the Dark Angels player hasn't lost their mind painting their Knight Cenobium.
They still have their sanity in
Yeah.
peace.
Cool. Knight Cenobians for the win. But we are now getting closer.
Yeah,
Like
we
these
are,
these
aren't
these matchups aren't just quite walkovers. So we are left four
what
left.
happened to um the Just Aaron? Oh, did they lose? Did they?
They
Oh,
lost.
they
Yeah,
lost to the Deliverers, didn't they? Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
poor Just Aaron. In my head, I'm like, oh, they were pretty good. They did pretty well, but they just got battered by
Not well enough.
no. Cool. So
Um,
this is it. This is the
this is
this is
it.
round
So
four.
Morlocks versus Fire Drakes and Huskars versus fucking Huskars
Knights
versus
of
Knights
Nobian.
of
I
Nobium.
think that in general, if you did a straw poll of most people, that they would say that these are the top four
Yeah,
loyalists,
and it
and they're all loyalist units,
yeah, true, yeah.
which is
Um,
interesting.
and it's interesting that three of them in particular are particularly survivable.
They're yeah, well, fuck yeah, they're either 3 ups or battle hardened, right? In
Yeah,
fact, 2 of them have got 3 ups. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So interesting.
Ooh, hot
Well,
damn.
let's see how this matchup goes. So
Ding
Morlocks
ding.
versus Fire Drakes.
Yeah. So this one, well, do you want to talk
Uh,
us through this one? But yeah, I've got thoughts on this, but
so I think this would be a very close fight if
agreed.
I'm honest. I'm just quickly reminding myself of all their rules. obviously the Morlocks have battle hardened, but the Fire Drakes have a 3+ invulnerable. So
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like
um
there's a piece of paper, I think, between
yeah.
lots of these rules. Um, but the fire
What
drakes with a thunderhammer is that it's not doubling
mm,
them out, but it is a lot of wounds that the Morlocks have to save on a 4-up. That's the
yeah.
critical thing.
So
And
what
then
would you take if you had the choice of an elite unit? Would you take a 4+ invuln with battle hardened, or would you take a 3+ invuln?
oh god. Yeah, so for me, I'm like, oh, that's so situational. But I'd probably take the 3+. The reason why the Morlocks are so
Interesting.
appealing is what we said before, which is that they are survivable walking across a board because
Yeah.
they've got the -1 to shooting. Um, but I have like taken down a squad of Morlocks before with like a you know some custodies quite easily, just because my
Right.
opponent's not been able to make loads of 4-ups. The 3-up for me is the critical is super critical. Yeah, the 3-up is important.
Yeah, and re-rolling ones as well at this stage when they're both weapon skill 5. That's gonna
Yeah,
obviously just
yeah, that's a great
bump
point.
up
Yeah, that's a great point.
your hits a little bit more.
Yeah,
So we have this as the Fire Drakes winning, but excuse me. I think reality this could be a very close fight.
the
But
the other thing is that the Morlocks can't take Thunderhammers en
oh
masse.
no, of
The
course
Fire
not.
Drakes
No, yeah.
can take Thunderhammers
Yeah,
en
yeah,
masse, and I
yeah.
think that will, in terms of the number of wounds, I think that will be
Yes.
important because of the saves. I think
And
that's
let's
probably the
face it,
critical.
like we've said already, all your Fire Drakes are going to have Thunder Hammers
Yeah,
because that's just the way
it's
the
just the
cookie
way it is,
crumbles.
isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, yeah, Fire Drakes. In fact, I think we're fairly average rolling. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the Fire Drakes kind of smash this. The Thunder Hammer is the one, isn't it? That brutal
yeah. It's the
is
Brutus
going to
too.
be
I think.
huge.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so yeah, Fire Drakes for the win.
Cool. So, right.
Fucking Huskars versus Knight Cenobium.
Yeah,
Um,
and this is it, we can have a similar conversation, can't we? Which is that it comes down to like you've got Murderous Strike and the Rending, but actually you have more of a chance of saving it with a 3-up than the Battle Hardened. Like the Battle Hardened isn't going to matter here,
yeah,
but the 3-up is going to matter.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
thing.
yeah, agreed.
Um,
Yeah.
and the yeah, and yeah, I just think that the Solarite gauntlets, the strength 10 against
Hmm.
the 4-up is just gonna it's just like okay, well,
Yeah,
yeah, mostly you need really good saving and really good 5s and 6s on the Zenobium, like a lot of 5s and 6s on the Zenobium to win out against the Huskars. And I don't think though it matters that the Huskars charge or not. The Battle Hardened isn't a factor here. I think it's the 3-up.
yeah,
And I think that there is an argument to say that again, there's a piece of paper between these two. It just depends on how well the opponent rolls. Um, but I think that the 3-up is the survivability of the Huskars, which is the thing that makes it
yeah,
critical.
agreed. I agree. So once again, Huskars winning the fight like the Imperial Fist dickheads they are.
Yeah,
Um, and this is it. Round 5, third place playoff between Cenobium and Morlocks, and the
yeah.
grand final between the Huskars and the Fire Drakes. Come on, Fire Drakes. Um, so up first, we've got Knight Cenobium versus the Morlocks. Um,
I think that at this point, this is
ooh,
just yeah. At this point, I mean, we made a executive decision, but at this point, um,
either way,
it
yeah,
it could go either way. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
the the battle hardened again is not relevant, like because the swords are relying on the murderous strike.
yeah.
But what is relevant is the fact that they are both 4-up. Like it's not the same as the Imperial Fists where they were relying on a 3-up invuln. The Morlocks are relying on a 4-up now. They've only got half a chance to save that murderous strike. But again, entirely down to can a Knights Zenobian player roll 5s and 6s, because if they can't, then they're going to be fucked by the Morlocks.
Yeah, 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 agreed. So yeah, we have this as the Knights Cenobian winning, but I think it's probably realistically like a 50-50.
Yeah. Although the
Just
Knights of
comes
Nobium
down
again,
to
they
the
have
dice.
access to mass Thunderhammers, and the Morlocks do not.
Yes, and I mean, I guess, do you see many people running them with lots of thunder
I
hammers?
think that you would typically kind of see a couple of Thunderhammers, not
Yeah,
necessarily loads of Thunderhammers
lots and
in
lots. Yeah,
your.
that's the thing, isn't it? I feel like most people will be putting the swords on
Yeah,
just because it looks cool more than
yeah,
anything.
yeah, and the buffs, the plus one
And
to
fits
hit
in
as well.
with the rules, yeah.
Yeah,
Because you obviously only get the buffs if you're carrying swords. But yeah, so we've got Knights Nobium as a win, but I think realistically, this could have gone either way.
either way, yeah, 100%.
And then the final, Huskarls versus the Fire
Ding
Drakes.
ding.
Yeah,
I mean,
gosh.
I get again, right? I mean, it depends on how they roll. Um, there is no, and I think it depends on who gets the charge.
Yeah.
Because the fire drakes, if they charge into the Huskarls, the fire drakes will get some more attacks. They'll have their Thunderhammer, they'll have a 3-up, but
Yeah.
the Thunderhammers won't be instant deathing the Huskarls. This is where the battle hardened does matter. Um, and the Huskarls, like with they've got 3-ups, so they can be survivable right up until initiative 1. They can survive up until initiative 1, and then they can just smash into the fire drakes. But the fire drakes then have their 3-up, but they've got no battle hardened. And actually, with
Yeah.
the strength 10, a battle hardened wouldn't matter
No.
because it's the same as when we looked at when they fought the Death Shroud. It just goes through it. Like it's the
Yeah.
strength
Yeah.
10 power
Yeah.
fist combined with a 3-up, which is such a savage combination.
But then the brutal of the Thunderhammer,
More wounds to save.
yeah. So you're increasing the wounds to save plus the plus one to re-rolling ones
Yeah,
to hit. But yeah, again, I think this would be very, very close. I think this would kind of, like you say, come down to who charged who
yeah,
and 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 luck of the dice at the end
yeah,
of the day.
yeah.
But
I tell you what though, if fire drakes were characters and you could
oh,
spread wounds, and
oh
then
yeah.
make the use of it will not die,
Yeah.
that would be really really good.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
trouble with it will not die, isn't it? I would imagine it's well, I guess it does happen, but you're potentially gaining one wound
One wound, yeah.
a
You'd
turn.
only ever gain one
Yeah.
wound back, yeah.
So
Unless for some reason somebody failed like a dangerous terrain check randomly,
okay,
like that.
yeah.
But even then, you'd have to take wounds on that guy moving forward. So
So he's
I just
probably
think,
just going to be dead.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that the it will not die is only really useful if the unit's made out of characters. So you
Yeah,
can, yeah,
agreed.
yeah.
Um,
In terms of costs, it's interesting because the they're kind of similar costed. Like the fire drakes have to buy the shield, so that's going to cost I think 10 points a model, 5 or 10 points a model. So that's going to get them to the price of the Huskarls, and then
yeah,
they're like similarly pointed. There's not a lot between them again. So
no.
yeah,
But there has to be a winner. So unfortunately, for everyone who plays Horus Heresy, even the people who collect Imperial Fists realize they're the bad guys in this. The Huskarls win. Oh gosh. So this is the final scores. This is it. Huskarls for the win, Fire Drakes second, and the Snovian Knights third. So the top factors, I've got a big box covering that, in being a top Terminator is an instant death AP2 weapon.
yeah.
So
I
I
mean
mean this is huge, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
That came up a lot. It can be instant death through strength 8, strength 10, or it can be murderous strike. But
Yeah.
those things are critical. Yeah.
Being battle hardened, which I agree with to a point. Like we've said, with the strength 10 Solarite gauntlet, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
Um,
nullifies that, doesn't it? Yeah.
and a better invulnerable save,
That
which is
that was a
just
massive
huge.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that a
yeah.
massive thing that came out.
And
Yeah.
like most things Imperial Fist, they have it all.
Good at shooting, good at combat. That's the thing about Fist. They do it all. I
They do
think
it
that
all.
third position though. I think there's an argument that you could have given that third position to
Warlock.
deliverers,
Oh,
to
Deliverers, yeah.
Morlocks, or yeah, deliverers or Morlocks. I think could have equally gone in that third position. I think, as we've said throughout this, it comes down to some dice rolls.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that's it. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you agree or disagree, or if we've made a massive mistake somewhere. I'm sure we have.
Overlooked a rule. Yeah.
Yeah, missed something completely. But let us know if you agree with our standings. If you agree with the kind of, I mean, it's the classic thing, isn't it? Damage output plus survivability.
Yeah.
Um, and these kind of have it all. Knights Cenobian, ooh, depends on your rolling.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was actually quite
It
interesting.
was actually really interesting, yeah, to
And
compare some together, yeah.
like I've said already, uh, a lot of these units, they're just not designed to be thrown in to other elite units. That's not their role, that's not their job. So they were always going to get kicked to the curb, but that doesn't mean they're shit. It just means don't run them into another elite unit.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
definitely the case for the Night Lords. Like the Conticar, I kind of
yeah,
had been because Tom plays Conticar quite a lot, and I was really cognizant when I played them. He was just mulching through tac marines, but if I'd
mm,
sent in an Elite Terminator unit or Suzerain into them,
they
then
crumbled.
they would have not done well.
Yeah,
Um, but that's quite thematic. And actually going through the Atrumentar, like I'd heard from Night Lords players, oh, they're fucking shit. They don't have weapon skill 5. Yeah, but they've got a lot of other rules, and I'm not sure it would be appropriate for that Legion to have much weapon skill 5 beyond like Sevatar and Curzon like a Praetor,
yeah,
because just the nature and the way that they fight. Like they get
yeah,
other buffs to shooting that other Legions don't, and that's why they're one of the best Legions. Like,
yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, really, really interesting. I'm definitely more cognizant now after doing this of being able to articulate better what makes a good Terminator, though.
Mm.
Like, I think
Being
I
an
could,
Imperial Fist.
being an Imperial Fist, like the battle hardened, the 3-up, the
Yeah.
at initiative, murder strike, like all of those are massively
And
critical.
I mean, we haven't even talked about rights of wars
No,
and
yeah,
other things that you
yeah,
can start throwing into the mix.
100%.
But yeah, yeah, it's been very interesting. It just saddens me slightly that there's an Imperial Fist stood in the number one
Well, if you
spot.
go to the next one, we can
And
see.
it was a
The real is.
Legion.
I mean, Formatarus, fuck,
Oh yeah, wow,
they're
wow,
just
wow. Poor
point of
Formantaris,
fucking
yeah.
unusable. I think that the Keshig have a place, but it's not fighting other Terminators. Like that's
No.
the thing. I think
Yeah,
they're good in
again.
ZM if you want to take down some like breaches or tac marines. Like they're great there.
Yeah.
And then I suppose we've talked a lot about the Atchmenter on the Conticar, but yeah, they. I mean, I think Linnaean should also be on there to be honest, but
Ah, you see, I don't agree
they
with
got
that.
through to the next round, so
Yeah, but they've got line. That's without having to take a right of war. And
mm,
I don't know. I think that you know a scoring high toughness scoring unit. I think is something not to be sniffed at.
yeah, fair play.
Um, but in this, yeah, in this scenario, then maybe because they just get kicked
Do
to
so well.
fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool. Well, if
fine.
you go to the next one, you can see the Imperial Fist, I think, in all his is all his glory.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
God.
we've made the closing arguments, but yeah, I think yeah. Let us know what you think. I think this will create quite a lot of controversy, and people's experience, depending on what people run, will be different. I mean,
Yeah, and
if you
like
run
we
a
said, it's a dice game at the end of the day.
yeah,
So, it will never play out how you think it will play out because
yeah,
someone will pull some bullshit dice roll. And
yeah,
do you remember when you and me had that game in first edition, when I charged Corax and all my units into Horus
yeah,
and you had a 3+ invan
yeah.
and you must have saved about
Like yeah.
20, 30 fucking 3+
Yeah,
saves.
it's nuts
Like when it
because
works,
Forex
it
wasn't working. It
works.
works, yeah, and that's it, isn't it? Yeah,
Uh, you know,
it's yeah. It never
and
seems
then
to
when
work
it
on
doesn't,
tap
it
marines,
doesn't.
but when it's your important units or characters, it always you can always make that three
Um,
up.
so yeah, you can just have a bad roll, loads of ones and twos, and all of a sudden your squad is mulched.
Yeah,
Um, but I guess all we can do is go off theory and averages really when we're talking about these. Um, but yeah, cool. Like I said already, let us know your experiences. Let us know your thoughts, feelings. If you're as sad as me that an Imperial Fist won this little battle royale, let us know. Um, and just a final shout out to some more of our awesome sponsors. Beowulf, again, go check them out. I'm not sure if they still have the discount. They have had a 25% discount. So if you want to get something, don't mess about. Go check them out quickly if you want some awesome 3D printed bits. And Kirton Games, based near John. I know John and Rob have been using them extensively to buy all their plastic crack. So go check them out and support them, and also check out the events they run because they run some awesome events out of there. And Bits Monsters for all your bits if you want anything, but don't want to buy 20,000 fucking Terminators or whatever it is. Go check them out. Based in Northern Ireland, £25. If you spend over £25, it's free shipping. And again, if you use Heresy Hammer code at checkout, you get an extra 10% off all Heresy items. Um, and a final big salute to our top tier Patreon Praetors. I don't think we've mentioned our Patreon
No,
once this show, which
nope.
is
Very
gonna get our
unusual.
knuckles
These
wrapped
are
around
our
them.
Imperial Fist Huskars. These
Oh
are
God,
these
don't
are the
say that.
Huskars.
Fuck. Jesus
Each of
Christ.
them has a three up in
Fucking hell.
bun.
The
Each
next show there'll be like two names on here.
These guys have a three up in bun and a Solar Eye Power Gauntlet each.
Yes, but unlike Imperial Fist, these guys are winning at life.
Yeah, they're not
Um,
dickheads.
so,
Yeah. Okay.
so
Just before we have Imperial Fist play, I also play Imperial Fist, so don't nobody have a go. So just say I have actually packed up 18 boxes to be sent out today. The postman's going to come
Ooh.
collect 18 boxes with the latest kind of like goodies for our Praetors who kind of got to the 6 month mark. So yeah, it was good. It looked good as a bundle, right? With a
Yeah,
t-shirt
yeah, it
and a
looks
little dice
awesome.
tray.
Yeah,
Yeah, you were
yeah,
like,
yeah,
whoa,
yeah.
this looks,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
So
surprised. I was like, this doesn't look shit.
yeah, no, it was a really good looking, but it was all color coordinated as well. So
Yeah, I
that
know.
was really,
Yeah,
really nice.
yeah, we definitely
Um,
planned that.
yeah. So yeah, no, they're all packed up 18, ready to go out. So hopefully we'll be arriving tomorrow and Thursday. And if you live abroad, it will kind of be in the next week. I've got a few more international ones to send out on Monday. But just waiting for the
Cool.
weekend to do
So
this.
yeah, if you are interested, go check out our Patreon. We are currently doing a kind of special on Mechanicum,
Yeah.
trying to decipher, firstly trying to decipher the rules writing, and then secondly deciphering the
What the
rules.
actual rules are. Yeah.
Yeah, what is actually meant. But that's been interesting. We've had some really good feedback on our Patreon. So shout out to all our patrons, not just our Praetor level. But yeah, there's fucking hours and hours of tacticas, and we do kind of deep dives on certain units or whatever it is we're doing at the time. But yeah, at the minute it's Mechanicum. So if you want to know how to play Mechanicum, or if you're interested in how to fight Mechanicum, because you always need to know your enemy.
Take dominators, right?
Yeah, 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 basically. Yeah. Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh,
Oh, here we go. Come on.
what do we have being built here at the minute? Oh no. So yeah, go check out our Patreon. And we massively, massively appreciate the support on there. Like, I don't think we ever really expected it. We always say this, it sounds a bit cheesy, but it is fucking awesome, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, it's
100%.
fucking awesome. So go check that out. And if you've got this far, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Please do comment. And we do our monthly community shows. So use the hashtag Heresy Hammer whenever you put anything up on Instagram, and we put pictures up on our community shows. If you have any lists you want us to pull to pieces, then send us an email. And like I've said already, go check out our Patreon, Heresy Hammer. I think that's about it.
That's it.
We're
Yeah.
there. I'm off to think about what's happened this morning. Have a little cry in the shower. Uh, and yeah, that's it.
And
Bye
then you
bye.
guys, you guys going to be writing lists with nothing but Imperial Fist Huskars in
Yeah,
there.
it's going to be salamanders with just fire drakes. I'm feeling. I'm imagining. I'm looking in my crystal ball, and it's going to be salamanders and Imperial Fist Pride of the Legion. Uh,
Nice one.
oh God, cool. Thank you very much, guys. Bye bye.
See you soon.